morning, Green Spring. It's Avan Price again. So today we're talking men's health, and a happy belated Father's Day to everyone out there who's a father. I hope your kids and your grandkids did something fun for you. So today on our yearly discussion on men's health, I wanted to talk with Mary Smith about nutrition. Now, a little backstory on why I chose nutrition specifically for men's health. My dad is over 50, and there is a change that happens within men in their diets and what they eat for them to be healthy. And my dad was asking me one day, Avan, what should I do for, eating right and all that kind of stuff? And I told him, well, you are older than me. You're not the young whippersnapper anymore. So you do have to change your diet in the amount of food you eat and the amount of calories you take in and the sugars and all that kind of stuff. So for me to give him proper information, I'm going to talk to Mary, and she's just going to give me all the right information for my dad to get slim and all that kind of stuff. So it's all hinging upon you,
Mary.
Thank
you. No pressure.
No pressure. No, nothing at all. So how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So let's jump right into it.
Awesome. Let's go.
Before we jump into specifics about men's health and men's diet, for nutrition, what does it mean to have a balanced diet? Let's go simple right now. What does it mean to have a balanced diet?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think before we break it down further, let's set out a nice baseline for everyone to understand. So a balanced diet, or just a healthy diet in general, is eating when you're hungry, being able to stop when you're full. So the ability to listen to your hunger cues, something that in this day and age it's actually getting a lot harder to do because we are distracted all the time. There's some statistic that basically just says that the amount of time that we spend in silence is decreasing and decreasing, which actually makes it harder for us to listen to our body. So being able to listen to your body, eating a balance of fruits and vegetables and whole grains, and then just trying to keep in mind how much added sugar you're actually eating, which is a huge reason that we're having a lot of increased health issues in our in this generation because of all the added sugar that we're adding to almost every product. So watching your sugar, your excessive sodium, excessive fat, saturated fat specifically, but basically just being able to listen to your body and having a variety of that fresh vegetables, fruits and vegetables, or whole grains, and then of course your protein sources as well.
Now, before we get into the food part of what you were just mentioning, I got two questions. What do you do for someone like me who's always hungry? So you're saying to listen to when you're hungry and stop when you're full.
Yeah.
What do you do when someone like me, I'm always hungry?
Yeah.
So what should I do?
Okay, great. So let me also start out with another baseline, which is nutrition is so individualized.
Okay.
Which is one of the reasons we do private consultations. Helen and I, the dietitians, you can set up a consultation with us. So everything I say to you might be different for the next person. So please, if you're listening, take everything I say with a grain of salt. No pun intended. I like puns. But because what your genetic health background is, like what you're more at risk for based off of like family and like what your activity level is going to vary per person. So I'm going to guess if you're hungry all the time, you're very physically active and you have a higher muscle mass than another person would. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I do my martial arts, and I'm running and lifting weights and stuff all the time, and it's about typical close to 3.5 hours of
a day.
Close to it.
Oh
I gotta stay ready.
Yeah.
I gotta stay ready. So
what do you think's gonna happen to you? Yeah, no wonder if you're working out 3 hours a day. I mean, your calorie needs are probably in like 3,000s almost, honestly, to maintain.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to like bulk or change more like fat into muscle mass, of course you're going to be more hungry throughout the day. So I think specifically for you, again, not necessarily for everyone watching. So depending on what your goals are, you're going to have to be eating more and after your workouts, and specifically have the right ratio of carb to protein breakdown.
Okay.
So
now, continuing on this listening to your body, I'm sure the residents have their kids or their grandkids mentioning what I think is kind of new within the fitness world is this whole thing about intermediate fasting.
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah, and because I've actually met a couple residents, a lot of residents know me because I walk around with my gallon of water. And so a lot of the residents know me from that, and then we chat and they're telling me that they drink a lot of water and then they are avoiding eating. Now, for someone who is a resident here who is over 50, is the whole new trend of intermittent fasting healthy?
Do you do intermittent fasting?
No, I couldn't survive.
So that's
my coworkers
actually
wouldn't like me if I was doing that.
Yeah, that's actually like kind of like a hot button topic in nutrition, like the research and like, do we want to recommend this? Do we not want to recommend it? So I will say for intermittent fasting, for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically saying you can eat like 100% of your calories in one day, but we want you to eat them between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. And then you're going to be going into fasting mode from 6 p.m. to 10 a.m. the next day.
Okay.
Like, and so basically what they're trying to do is change your metabolism on what to expect so you can burn more. But what you don't realize is that you're eating a lot of calories in an 8-hour period. So the reason it's a hot button issue is because specifically for women, it's actually shown in research that it's not good for women to do intermittent fasting. It very drastically will mess with your hormones. You know, women and men's body, what we're going to talk about soon, they're so different. So I don't recommend women to do intermittent fasting at all. Now, men, it can be beneficial, again, based off of your goals, your nutrition goals and your fitness goals. If you're trying to bulk up, intermittent fasting has been shown to be like a very fast way of helping men bulk, so build muscle mass. So I'm thinking like bodybuilders basically. And this population, so for our residents at Green Springs, I do not recommend intermittent fasting because you have to realize you're changing in medications. Like sometimes you need to have food in your body for medications. There are also medications where you shouldn't have food an hour before, 2 hours after, or depends on what type of food you can have. I mean, it's very, very specific, but in this generation overall though that we work with, I don't recommend it because fainting is so much more likely. Your body is not necessarily trying to build a whole bunch of muscle mass, but actually your goal is just to preserve muscle mass. So to go into those long hours of fasting is not going to be good for you.
Okay.
And another thing that they've shown with intermittent fasting is it's really messing with people's moods. Like you said, like your coworkers wouldn't want to sit next to you. I'm like totally someone who gets hangry. Like when you're hungry, you get angry.
Yeah.
And it's true. So you're basically telling your body, like I'm aware you're super, super hungry, but I'm going to ignore it because I'm only eating 8 hours of the day. So that's a great question.
Yeah,
but I'm not a fan.
Yeah, because I had a couple residents say, "Oh, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna be like you, drink a lot of water and just, skip eating." And I'm like,
No.
I feel like someone in your age range should not be doing that. But that's a good point that you bring up because that's true. Certain medication that you take,
Absolutely.
you have to eat, before or after it. So that's not a smart move at all.
And I would say not just even this age range, but like even people our age should not necessarily be like, I'm not going to eat, I'm just going to drink water, because then it's not necessarily just a nutrition issue you're dealing with. I want to go a little deeper and say, like, why do you feel like you need to starve yourself or fast? Is there another, more of a body image issue going on, or a pressure that you may be feeling from society? So nutrition goes so deep, which is actually one of the reasons I became a dietitian, because it goes beyond just the actual food, but more into the mentality behind it as well.
Oh, that's a good point. We might gotta do a show on that.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to.
The psychology of eating.
Psychology of eating.
I like that. Diane, write it down.
Yeah.
All right. So before you were talking about for a balanced diet, there's different foods we got to maintain to eat. Can you kind of discuss that again? What are the main things we got to make sure we're eating?
Okay. So macronutrients are basically your breakdown of carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Of course, every single person needs those. There was like a fad, I don't remember specifically what decade, so I don't want to say it because I'll probably get corrected, where basically it was like 60s or 70s, I think, where everyone was just like, you just need to not eat fat ever. And they tried to take fat out of everything. But then that's how we learned actually fat is essential for your body. Healthy fats, of course.
What are some healthy fats?
So your monounsaturated fats, so what you can find in fish, your omega fatty acids, things that you can find in nuts, avocados, nut butters, peanut butter, seeds. Those are great fats for your body. Very good for your joints and just overall metabolism and just keeping everything going correctly. So yes, you always want to have the correct breakdown of carbohydrates, protein, and fats, but also making sure you're getting enough fiber. So, with your vegetables and fruits, you're not only getting fiber, but you're also getting a lot of your vitamins and minerals. So getting that color in. I always think it's fun when you go to like a buffet or something and just trying to make your plate as colorful as you can, because every time you eat a color, you can think, oh, I'm eating more vegetables, that's good for me. Or you can think like this, every color represents a different vitamin or mineral. It's really great for you.
Oh, that's a good
eat the rainbow kind of thing. not Skittles, but like the actual food.
All right, we will include Skittles. So our topic today is on men's health. So can you kind of discuss, with a balanced diet, is there differences or similarities for men and women? Yes,
definitely. And I think that, to just even understand that at a baseline is there a difference between men and women? And Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Like, you have definitely different body functions, like your body is built to do different things. A woman is meant to be able to bear children, so that will drastically change a woman's lifestyle of food throughout her whole entire lifetime. So I think that, I know we're here to talk about men, but I also think that there's a definite more distinct difference between moving from generation to generation. So what I'm eating now is going to be completely different when I'm over 50. Men, there are still changes, but not as drastic. So it's going to be focusing more on just meeting your baseline needs. So I actually think that it might be more interesting if I just discuss the differences between men and women, and not necessarily the difference between a man that's younger and a man that's older, although we'll kind of go into that too.
All right, we'll go into those changes later, but go ahead. Tell us some of the differences.
Dive in. So obviously men are typically taller and heavier, and it's because they are able to hold more muscle mass. Like naturally a man is just more strong, like more muscle. I mean, not to say that a woman can't build muscle, but it's easier for a man to build muscle and to maintain muscle than a woman can. It's just a fact, men burn an average of 400 calories more a day than a woman does. So like based off of your height and your weight, you're automatically, a man's just going to need a higher calorie range. And when you have a higher calorie range, that's going to change your macronutrient levels. So the amount of carbs and protein and fat that you take in. So just let me know if I'm getting like too specific here.
You mentioned calories, and some people say you should count calories, and some people say you shouldn't worry about it. And me personally, I keep a general overview. I don't, I actually knew a guy who would put his meat on a food scale or something and weigh it and count his calories, and I'm like, that's way too much.
Intense,
Should a person really be doing that, or what should a person do with this whole calorie counting?
So maybe I should come back for like the psychology behind eating, because it really is a reason I went into nutrition. I think that I would answer that with, what are your goals and like what is your reasoning behind it? So if you're doing that because you're really obsessive, then I would put more caution to it, because like it's so easy to fall into an unhealthy mindset around eating that I think is greater to protect you from than eating over a couple calories a day. I'd rather make sure that your mindset is healthy, because if your mindset isn't healthy, it doesn't necessarily matter what you eat, because you just got it has to go together, basically.
Yeah, you have to mentally be right.
Yeah, and then I think also it has to be what works for you. So sometimes I'll go back and forth with calorie counting or not, based off of just like trying to bear in mind, am I meeting my own needs? For me, it's more of a checkpoint, not necessarily something I do daily, because it can be very obsessive and also just like a lot.
Well, like nowadays, even like yesterday for Father's Day, we went to Olive Garden, and nowadays in menus they're always putting the calories on there, just so you can kind of be mindful. And I know if I go out, I'm always kind of counting up, okay, this Chick-fil-A meal is like 1,000 calories. So if I'm not working out today, should I?
I'm not doing my 3-hour workout.
Yeah. Well, if I'm not working out, should I eat this 1,000 calories of Chick-fil-A, even though it's really delicious? But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think it's great to be mindful, but it's not good to be obsessive
and
about
I think that I love the word mindful so much better than how should I track things, because being mindful is a more lax term or lax approach to the whole subject of just being like, okay, I'm hungry, what have I eaten today, what do I feel like my body needs? Like, okay, I had oatmeal for breakfast, that's basically a carb that's very high in fiber, very good for me. I haven't had a protein yet. So for me, that would be a more mindful approach, thinking about what have I had today, what does my body need, versus, okay, I'm looking at the number of calories and wanting to make sure I stay in this range. Both are effective, but again, like the being very, very specific can become obsessive and it's more likely to lead to a negative mental effect than just being overall mindful.
I was going to say, but we probably can't discuss it, but what does it mean to be healthy? But I guess that would go in the category of the psychology of eating. But we'll have to...
Stay tuned, I'm coming back.
We'll have to move on. But I know, hopefully I'm not going over.
No, I like these questions. They're good.
I know we talked before, since we're talking about food and like men's health and stuff, you mentioned before offline about men needing more fiber.
Yeah.
So can you kind of discuss what is fiber and how does that, work in your body? and then why men specifically need it more.
So to answer that question, one of the things that I was going to talk about was what men or older men specifically are actually more at risk for than a woman is. So the first thing is always going to be heart disease. Men are more at risk for heart disease, and fiber, one of the reasons men require more fiber is because fiber can be such a great way to help control your blood pressure, your cholesterol, help diabetes, because it's just an agent that helps your GI system so much, helps your blood flow, can help your satiety, so how long you stay full for, how help your body break down things. So for men specifically, it's just better for your heart to have more fiber. And of course, and then for men and women, fiber in general can prevent hemorrhoids, diverticulitis, like all these things that become challenging as we get older. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, that
Do you
answers the
feel like
question.
it?
But what kind of foods?
Right. So
what kind of foods contain a high level of fiber?
So fruits and vegetables always have a high level of fiber. I would say that you don't want to do dried fruits or vegetables because they're kind of dehydrating. They're kind of like taking it out a little bit. You're taking out a lot of the nutrients. But if you can do fresh, even steamed is okay. I will say the hotter it is, the more you're likely to extract from it. So if you were to like boil a pot of broccoli and you see that the water is like all green at the end, you've lost a lot of the fiber and a lot of those like phytochemicals. So the color, once again, as I mentioned, eating the rainbow, that color hole is where a lot of the vitamins and minerals are held. So instead of not necessarily boiling, but steaming, because then you aren't losing any of the color, you keep that fiber in there. So fruits and vegetables, whole grains, so think of like wheat bread, oatmeal, would be great sources of fiber. And fiber is in a large majority of food, but if you're thinking about where can I get the most fiber, it's going to be your whole grains and then the freshness of food, like fruits
Now you
and
said
vegetables.
dry fruit, that we should not be eating it.
Okay,
Now,
I never want to be somebody who's like, you can never eat this, because I don't believe that's true. Again, going off the whole mindfulness, but dried fruit, like you are taking out so much of that water and the sugar becomes so compact that you could be eating in a dried apricot that's like literally like the size of my eyeball and it has like the same amount of calories as a huge like apricot, and then that's not going to keep you full. So you're going to eat like a lot of them, and then before you know it, your carbs are through the roof. So if you're a diabetic, I really don't recommend dried fruit.
Well, the only reason why I'm kind of giggling is this might be stereotypical, but for the population that's here who is over 50 years old, like when my grandparents were alive, we didn't visit them a lot, but I remember that my grandma always had a can of prunes. And when I think of the older population, I think they're eating things like prunes.
Well, prunes, that keeps you regular. That's
that different.
That's much different, yeah.
Okay.
But that's a great point. Prunes are one of the most amazing natural laxatives. So
yeah, because when I think of senior citizens, I think of that they're eating prunes. So you're saying they should or should not?
Prunes, I think, are awesome. Okay. I was not expecting this to go this way, but yeah, no, I'm thinking more of like you can go to a grocery store and buy a huge bag of dried fruit, and you don't realize how many carbs you're actually eating because you can just knock them back, and it's just. It's a lot. I wish I had the nutrition labels. I want to say numbers, but I know that if I'm not precise, it can just be more confusing. So that's the reason I'm not being as specific, because I want to be able to make sure I'm giving accurate numbers. So. Okay,
that's fine. Well, thank you for going over fiber and the importance that men need fiber. Now, we also talked about offline alcohol.
Yes.
That the population around here should be mindful of their alcohol intake.
Yeah.
So kind of discuss on that, because I make the joke that if I retired, I might not totally be sober all the time. I'd be like, I'm free and I can do what I want. So go in on alcohol consumption.
So when you learn about all the different cultures' diets and the Mediterranean diet and just diets that are recommended, to help control blood pressure, cholesterol, things like that. We always come up with like, what is an antioxidant? So like, does red wine really have antioxidant effects? Which it does, because I don't want to go too specific, but yes, red wine does have antioxidant effects. And so if you really read into it though, they will always say that men can have 2 servings of alcohol, whereas women should only have 1. And I've always been like, every single time, like that's so unfair sometimes. Like, but it's because going back to this, men have have a higher muscle mass. They're tall. Majority of the time, they're taller and they weigh more.
Okay.
And it also just goes back to that our bodies are made to function differently. So a woman is, meant to be able to store more fat. And so if she were to drink more wine, more alcohol, alcohol is such a high fat percentage, it's, or calorie percentage as well, that you're going to pack it on differently than a man would.
Now,
sorry, ladies. Sorry.
Yeah, well,
you can still have one glass, but don't go for the second one.
It's another reason why I say, I'm so glad I'm a male, but
we have great benefits too.
Well, how do I phrase this? Should there be a limit to how much a man should drink as they're getting older? In the sense, should they only drink once a week, or what's your opinion on something like that? Or should they be a regular drinker? And because their liver and different organs are aging, should they be mindful of that they're not 25 anymore?
Yeah. So again, nutrition is so individualized when you get down to the very specifics, what should a man do? Well, I want to know more about this specific man that we're talking about, but I'm never going to endorse necessarily being a regular drinker of two servings a day. No, I don't think I would endorse that at this age, especially because you're not just dealing with the number, you're also dealing with a number of health side effects that are more common in the elderly population. So like you said, your liver, your kidneys, risk for diabetes is increasing, heart disease, all of these things. It's always better to do things in moderation, not say, well, because I'm a man, I'm gonna have two beers every single day. Not necessarily true, but you could probably do red wine, and it wouldn't be the end of the world for you to have a second glass. It also wouldn't be the end of the world for a woman to have a second glass, but to make it a trend, to make it a regularity of every single day, just be careful in general. Because you'd rather you drink something that is also fueling your body, which is going to be water, because all of your body, every single metabolic function needs water to work, whereas it doesn't necessarily need alcohol. So water is always going to be the best option.
Okay. Now, I'm just jumping back.
This is a fun segment. I was not expecting this.
We need an hour just to keep going. I'm kind of jumping back because you said food eating is based off your goals. And I mentioned before my dad. My dad isn't huge overweight, but he's I'm getting older, and then he's always throwing shade at us saying, when I start having grandchildren, I don't want to have the Santa Claus belly and stuff. So he's like, I want to slim down. Now, I would imagine most of the Green Spring residents here would rather slim down than bulk up. Yeah. So my first question with dealing with that is trying to get food that's, there's a new thing now, I think, with the whole being healthy, trying to get food that's fresh and natural and all that kind of stuff. Do you have an opinion on that? Because I know a lot of friends who are like, I'm gonna go and get beef that's 100% what's the word, ground beef that's fed from that with the cow only grass fed. There we go. That kind of stuff. Should they go to farmers markets only, or still going to Food Line or Giant still okay? Kind of that. Where should I get my fresh foods from?
Well, I know that I think that Green Spring is working really hard and does a great job at providing fresh food. I know that our salmon, which is one of our top things that we're, what am I trying to say? It's some of our best sellers. That is what we order the most of. It's salmon, coffee, and ice cream, basically. Yeah. Our salmon is really great here. We're going more and more, building a more diverse salad bar in certain areas. We're trying to always get better and build, and I think that's something that we're doing really well. So because we live here, you have a lot of food already provided for you, which is great. But I also know that we have farmers markets that are coming here in the summer, which is great to endorse your local economy. But yeah, so you're always going to get those fresh foods here. But it's good to go any place really. I think, so.
Well, because my coach, he was telling me, because I told him I eat my vegetables from the frozen boxes.
Oh, is that what you're asking?
That kind of thing. Should I get
no, that's a great question.
I should have phrased it a little bit better, because I get my vegetables from the frozen boxes, and my thing is, if you get it fresh, I only got 3 days.
So we're talking the difference between fresh, frozen, and canned.
Kind of a little bit, yeah.
Okay, I love that question because so many people say, I will not buy vegetables because it's not going to last by the time I eat it, which is true. There is a countdown basically. As soon as you buy it, especially once you wash it with water, it's just going to start deteriorating really quickly. Frozen vegetables have, if not the same amount, it's just as good as the fresh vegetables. I always buy frozen because then I can microwave the perfect amount for one meal and then save the rest. It just preserves it longer. So yeah, I think frozen foods are frozen vegetables.
Yeah.
Some frozen foods, when you get to the meals, you add a lot more sodium in there.
Yes.
But the frozen vegetables in general have just as many health benefits as fresh foods. Yeah.
Because I know, at least for me, it's just easier to just be on the go, just have a frozen box of vegetables that already has the serving and everything.
Yeah, and then you don't have to be like, oh my gosh, I haven't had this fresh broccoli and it's already horrible. Like, oh, I have this bag of broccoli that it's been in here for a month. I'm still gonna use it. Yeah.
I, for the longest time, I was getting spinach.
Yes.
Fresh spinach, and so I would get it, and then I would feel so forced to eat it so quickly. So it didn't rot away, and then I feel like I wasted my money and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. So I see our time is wrapping down, so we're
fast.
We're gonna have to come back to discuss more.
Okay.
But as in closing, I feel like the main message for men with their nutrition for eating is, one, it's okay sometimes to have sweets. It's all about balance, because I feel like if you don't, we didn't touch about it, but maybe I'll get your opinion. It's okay to have sweets every now and then, right? Because I feel like if you don't, you're gonna go crazy. Then you're gonna eat a whole box of Oreos like I've done before.
Yeah.
So what do you want to say about desserts real quick? Because I know Green Spring is always feeding us desserts.
Oh, I love desserts.
Yeah.
So I think that when you talk about lifestyle or diet, you can have the very pop culture term of diet being like you're fasting to lose weight kind of thing, but really your eating schedule, your lifestyle should be something you can do for a lifetime, which means you have to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it. So yes, I'm of the opinion that you should not completely avoid sweets your whole entire life unless you're not a sweet tooth, because you have to be able to maintain it, you have to be able to enjoy it. And if you aren't enjoying it, you're not going to keep going. So find that balance. And it's going to be different per person.
Yeah. And that the men here should be mindful to eat more fiber.
More fiber, hydrate.
Yes, you can carry a gallon
Take care
of
of your heart,
All right, Mary, can you kind of give your name and your number, your email address?
Oh, right.
So people, if they have questions, they can contact you?
Yes. So my name is Mary Smith, and I'm glad you asked that about my email.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that I get a lot of people like voicemails, people being like, I can't reach you?
Because you're Mary.
Mary Smith, so it's such a common name. So it's Mary Smith 2, like the number 2, at Erickson.com.
Okay.
So there's a lot of Mary Smiths in the world.
You're not Mary Smith 1, you're Mary Smith 2.
2, yeah.
All right.
You'll never be able to find me on social media because my name is so popular. It's a good thing.
Yeah, you're hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
Like the movie. Hey, I got my own pun. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Mary, and talking about
always fun to be here.
Men's nutrition and fitness. Maybe we'll have you come on to talk about that psychology of eating.
I would
pretty
love
soon.
that.
Yeah, because
I'm coming back, guys.
Yeah. Oh, she's coming back. She just declared it. Because I know when I did my whole weight loss journey, eating is the main component of it, and I was with a group who was trying to lose weight, and one of the reasons why I think I was successful in my eating habits was because, like you said, I enjoyed what I was eating.
You have to enjoy it.
I didn't starve myself where I was so focused, where I was like, no Chick-fil-A, no desserts. I had it planned out where on a certain day I was going to delve into this, and a certain day I was going to delve into this. So it's all about balance. All right.
Balance.
All right, Mary, thanks for coming on.